Okay. One Piece chapter 1141 blind reaction. My immediate first thoughts when looking at this chapter is holy shit, man. Luffy didn't waste no damn time, man. He got that key and went straight there. And you got like this chapter. I know it drives some people crazy that you get the straw hats and they have like the interaction. I love those moments. And so when you bounce from Usopp being super drunk and Brook being drunk and Nami being somewhat depressed over not getting the treasure, and then you got Luffy saying, "No, I don't eat my friends. Like those animals over there, those are my friends," and Zoro's like, "Meat is meat." This chapter was hands down fucking hilarious, man. Fucking hilarious. So backing things up. So we open up this chapter and you got Nami and she's like, giant diamonds. I wanted the diamonds, getting super pissed off about it. And so as they're making their way back, you already know that things about to go on to a different level because we start getting more of a lore dump. And so as soon as we start hearing this, my immediate reaction goes to, well, if fire and lightning are weaknesses for Elbaph, then number one, it's a good thing that, say, Ace had never reached there. And then the other thing is, it's like, what about Akainu? And then what about Enryu? Like that's where my minds went. As soon as I start hearing that, I started thinking about people that either have fire, magma, and then obviously something with lightning. But see, basically we get another lore dump. And I feel like Oda's setting up for potentially a great fire here on Elbaph because he starts planting the seeds because we find out about the Atom Tree. And basically each of these branches, there's a huge story with it. And so long ago, there was a village that exists on one of the branches. Lightning struck the branch, and so it started a fire. And because of how these trees are set up, when a branch gets old, the fire doesn't go out. And so in order to make sure that it never spread, they had to basically cut the village itself off. And as Franky's hearing that, he's got the right idea. And, given where Franky was at, Water 7, etc., Franky is kind of thinking about some of his own experiences with just environmental stuff. And so I did like that touch there to have Franky there hearing that information, even though it's different circumstances. It's the small things like that, whether intentional or unintentional. It's things like that I really love where you can kind of low-key connect back to some of the older experiences from the story. And so the other cool thing here is that Franky does kind of get the information where when Franky's like, okay, so that had to be a really hard call to make. And we get the further evidence like the vulnerabilities to Elbaph or fire and lightning. Now I'm looking at it and I'm going like, they can't be the only ones to know that. They definitely cannot be the only ones to know that, especially when you got somebody like Shank's twin out there. And so we then shift over and we got Usopp completely drunk and like this man, and there's a lesson here for what you're seeing with Usopp, but like this man Usopp is getting super drunk and he's just talking out his mouth. He's like, where you been, Nami? Oh, you were hunting for gold. You're on an adventure. That's super nice. And the man just starts talking crazy at the mouth. And it's not disrespectful. But the reason why I say it's talking crazy at the mouth is when you get this drunk to where you have no clear control over your agency, it does become a problem. That's not the lesson I'm going to talk to you about. But what I like is that, when he's talking to Jarul, he's like, yo, like, what's your favorite type of a woman? And it's because he's calling Nami attractive, which, hey, the guy's a giant. He's old as hell, seen a whole bunch of pussy. And he's like, yeah, I like Nami. See, he never said that about Nico Robin. He got exquisite taste. But he says, I would like an older woman. And it's kind of hilarious because Usopp is like smashing at the sword. He's like, that doesn't exist. You're the oldest person in the world. Completely funny. But what I like, too, is that, like, Usopp, he's like, don't tell me not to touch that sword. You mean that there hasn't been a brave hero that pulled out Excalibur, which that's kind of cool that Excalibur and like King Arthur and everything exists even in the One Piece world. But we find out, and again, this has got to be foreshadowing, especially with the Oda writes. I don't think that this is going to be something that's not brought up again. But basically, if that sword is removed, he's going to die of blood loss. And so I kind of feel like this is where that's coming. Now, granted, Chopper's there, and Chopper's a hell of a medic, so we might have a situation where Chopper is able to save him. But I kind of feel like, again, like Oda's just planting too many seeds. I don't think that this is coincidental. If this is the case, this is just accidental brilliance on his part. But when it comes to One Piece, I don't necessarily take that approach. I kind of feel like everything's planned out like very meticulously. Even when there's accidental brilliance, I kind of feel like Oda just circles back to it and says, I'm going to use this later. Now, what I like here is that after we see Usopp and he's enjoying himself, Nami lays out there. I can't blame him for getting carried away. It's been his lifelong dream to come to this place. And that's the lesson. For as annoying as Usopp is in this chapter, the brilliance of the character is what he's showing us is that you're only here on life or on Earth, or and I guess in One Piece or whatever they call Earth. You're only here for a finite amount of time. You never know when you're going to go. Like, you can go at any given minute. Life is a very precious thing. And you shouldn't put off for yesterday or tomorrow for something that you said you're going to do yesterday and you didn't. And so you're going to say, I'm going to do it tomorrow. Just do it. Like, you get an opportunity to do something you always wanted to do. If it presents itself, do it. Enjoy it. Live in the moment. Like, soak up some of that life energy, if you will. I can't think of the exact word, but like, I like how Usopp is just kind of shown being a free spirit here because he's dreamed to come into this place forever. And he's making a lot of memories. And like where we are right now as a society, not to get on a soapbox, but so many of us are just glued to our phones. So many of us are glued on social media, etc. We don't take time to just enjoy the extra life experiences. And I feel like this really just got a lot worse when everything happened with the COVID stuff. A lot of people just got completely used to being isolated and shut in. And, I like what we're seeing here. Like when Nami's just enjoying it, enjoying Usopp, enjoying what's out there. Because they may never go back to Elbaph again, but you better believe Usopp, say him and Kaya have like 100 kids, right? Let's say Usopp's just like super busy and Kaya's got like walls of steel. Like, say they have 100 kids and say they got like 300 grandkids. Usopp is going to have stories upon stories upon stories. And that's before he even starts embellishing everything that happened. Like, Usopp's probably going to tell a story. I faced down 300 giants on Elbaph, and I did it with only a slingshot. Like, he's going to say something crazy. And that's the whole point of life. Do the crazy thing. Just go out and do it. Enjoy it. Because you never know when it's going to happen again. And speaking of never know when it's going to happen again, Sanji's asking the important question. Where's Gur? I ain't mad at you, Sanji. I be asking the same question my damn self. And so we shift over. And that's where we start, kind of finding out like, hey, there was an attack here. And the important questions getting asked because old girl's asking like, so this had been caused by a human weapon. I really think we need to wake up the guards here and we need to find out what's going on. And as they're kind of going through their motions and we're getting the information, we also know that there's potentially some fuckery going on. And what I like here is that as she starts to say, I'm going to go talk to the chief and we're going to get some information, as soon as old boy's like, man, I can't let you do that. It'd be really bad to ruin the festive mood. She clocks right away. It's super obvious that he's hiding something because he's thinking to himself, like, we got to wait until Straw Hat gets back. And, I don't want to be looking like an accomplice and, super suspect that the intruder had red hair and like, Gert's like, I don't want to hear it. She clocks him over the head and she says, tell me right away what happened. Oda killed me with that punish me line, man. There's a dirty joke there. I'm trying to watch. I'm trying to keep this channel PG-13. I'm getting ready to drop some more content, but I don't want to get age restricted. But what I like too is that we shift over and get to the underworld. Like Oda's just dropping more of the comedy here because Luffy and Zoro, they pull up on Loki. Loki's completely damaged and Luffy's like, what happened? I need information. And what I like here is that Zoro, that's why Zoro's got to be second man to Luffy because he's protecting Luffy from himself. And again, I've talked about it 100 times before. I like that the Straw Hats, all of them to a different degree, what makes them very good is that they all protect Luffy from Luffy. Like, for as good as Luffy's instincts are, Luffy can also get himself in trouble. And he's just lucky in the sense that he's got that Goku effect of where if he makes a mess, he's just strong enough to fix the damn thing. But eventually your luck's going to run out. And that's why you got to have people like that around you. I do like that Oda is kind of pointing that out. Like, you're only as good as your weakest member. And so what I like is that when Luffy's like, talk to me, Loki. Let's just go ahead and get him unchained. Zoro's like, look, this guy's huge. These cuffs are made up of sea prism stone. There's a reason he's chained up. All I've heard is bad things. Like, Luffy, we really need to think about this. And when Luffy's like, this guy's dying, you can't do that. We got to save him. Zoro's like, look, man, like, what if this guy ends up being an Oar's like problem? We're going to end up getting kicked out the island if this goes sideways. Let's think about this for a second. And when Luffy keeps pressing Zoro, it seems funny at first when he just kicks him. When he just kicks Loki, I laugh my ass off. But as that happened and I saw just the cold way that Zoro approached everything, it made sense because he's trying to get a threat assessment here. And when Luffy's like, what are you doing? Why are you kicking him? He could have died. Zoro's like, look, if he's dead, then it means that he wasn't meant to survive. He's like, it does look like his injuries are legitimately true injuries, but let's still take precautions. We can unchain him, but we still need to have his legs chained up. That way we have a fail-safe. That's the correct notion there. Because as Zoro told Luffy, the only thing I know is there's conflicting information. You're saying this guy's a good guy, and he's saying without saying, like, you ain't necessarily the best judge of character, dude. And then the other people that know this guy are telling me we can't trust him. So we're just going to play it safe here. We're going to split the baby. And so as they start getting into the nitty gritty, that's when Hadruden and everybody shows up. That's on Luffy, like, Luffy, you can't unchain this guy. Don't let anything happen. This comes after that hilarious scene where, like, Luffy's like, what do you mean meat is meat? You can't tell me to eat those animals. Those animals are my friends. But getting back to Hadruden and them, what I like about that is, again, they know, Hadruden, Gert, etc. They know that Loki cannot be trusted. They know that Luffy is susceptible to getting taken advantage of. And they're trying to tell him, like, whatever he told you, there was something else to it. And we as audiences know, again, this dramatic irony, we know that Luffy's being worked. And so I did like that as they're getting this confrontation with Luffy where they're trying to talk some sense into him. That's where we see Loki. He stood up. He's still got one shackle on, but he's still being positioned as being highly dangerous. And so I'm going to be very curious to see how Oda takes this next. But if we get Loki versus Luffy, I'm not going to be mad at it because, again, Loki is damaged. But seeing that size difference and just having that build up, I am going to be very curious to see where Oda takes this plot line because he's got a lot of different things in the pot right now. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching. And have an awesome day, guys.